Hello, welcome back. So after playing a lot of hours, I think this game is much better than I even thought in the beginning because it follows a very strict guideline. Everything has to be, how should I say, progressive. You cannot skip progression levels. There's no point in skipping progression levels. And some gear is actually worse than, advanced gear can be worse than the basic gear because of the skills. So as you can see, we can create, let's say, a bow, which is the simple one with a quality range of 88 up to 146%, but it will be branded on higher quality. What does that mean? Well, quality 100 means 11.4, right? So if it's 140, that should be about 16 something DPS, right? Which will make it a little worse than the hunter's bow, but that's because I have upgraded my carpentry skill. So as you can see, the quality range for this will be very bad. That's quality 100. But our quality will be, let's say, 80% max. So that will be about 20. So the bows I can create will be similar DPS, similar stats. Same for the armor, especially for the armor, because currently if you make armor without having the appropriate skills, it will be worse than the one you are wearing. So this is 100%, right? So if I make the worst one, it will be 2.2, which will be worse than the item I found on the ground as a drop. Yeah, it's a good system, I like it. Also, I have leveled up a lot of skills, and they're actually very well divided. It's not like New World where you just did more and more and more. No. You can either hyper-focus on something, for example, focus on gathering or mining, or let's say focus on lumberjacking and carpentry, and then you just sell a lot of the items. To gain items or to gain progression in this game, you either need to focus on a skill of gathering and a creative skill and then sell whatever you produce, or use the auction house and get money and either buy whatever you need or simply do dungeons or even just fight on the overworld. You can, for example, fight the skeletons and you'll get a lot of resources. You can fight the next tier of enemies in, let's say, the Swamp of Endless Moons. By the way, these are all PvP areas except for the graveyard. And even the graveyard has a PvP area which has full drop. So you can get items by doing the dungeons, you can get items by killing enemies, you can get by trading, you can get by just leveling up normally, you can also do, I don't know, it's just a lot of options for you, and to be honest, I think I'll level all of them. Especially others, because it doesn't really say what it is, but for example, identification will help you get a lot more items, or taming. I'm trying to tame that silver fox since I started playing, basically. And they actually stop gaining experience if you fight enemies lower than the level. So if you fight a level 15 enemy, it will get experience. But you fight a level 10, it will not get experience. So the whole system is very beautifully created. And that's what I wanted to say. It's very well created, it's very well balanced. It could use more balance, of course, but overall it's one of the most fun survival games I've played in a long while, because everything makes sense. You cannot skip progression, you cannot simply you can be gifted some items overall, but if someone, let's say, gives you a bronze shovel in the beginning of the game and is not high quality, it will almost not be worth it to use it. So let's do some dungeon. Now we have dungeons. I think we'll have enough time to do the graveyard one as well. There will be mysterious hideout entrances all over the place. Now the trick is you have to play it on easy, otherwise casual, normal, hard. I think some of them are made for group difficulties, but we'll just do it on easy because that's easy for us right now. And we can do this because we kind of learned more about the game itself, not that our gear has gotten much better. Also, you need basically you need all of the skills in the game. For example, you might think, well, why do you need heavy and light armor? Well, light armor is super good for abilities, cooldown, and also movement speed. So you don't have to use the goat if you have light armor on, and besides it will be even more useful later because you'll be able to skip mobs and dodge them, and no, it's very good. Heavy armor will reduce your movement speed and of course your attack speed, mobility and attack speed. Same for the shields, same for parry. Parry can be done only with the main weapons, axe, knife and sword, but not with the mace. So as you can see, mace is more like a item you use to destroy a lot of enemies very fast. Basically it's trash mob item, trash mob weapon. And the others one will be for tougher enemies or, you know, PvP or, I don't know. It depends on so many things. Also, we'll use the poison arrows so you can see. Oh. So you start with the skill, switch your weapons. So these are elite enemies, they're not normal enemies. Elite enemies just means they're a lot stronger than their level suggests. It's kind of like a double stat enemy. Just look at how cool this looks. Some items are interactable and you don't know which of them are. Also in the dungeons you need lumberjacking. If you don't have lumberjacking, you'll have a very hard time advancing in these dungeons. I think we'll fail 2 or 3 times. So all of the skills are tied together more or less. So if you have lumberjacking and you do the dungeons, it will be easy. And these guys are level 20 skinning, so you'll get also skinning experience. It's all about knowing what to do and when to do it. Of course, about specializing as well, but that's a little later. In regards to healing, you can heal later using a staff and skills and other complicated mechanics, or you can just use right now. No, my tool broke. Well, that's going to be a problem. Actually, this will allow us to see the same thing again. 93 quality. So this will be 93 hatchet, as opposed to 121 hatchet. You can repair all of them in the city, don't worry. Repairing is actually pretty easy and not expensive. Okay, I almost missed the small sack with items. Yeah, some of them are not really worth picking up at this point. Oh, let's poison the spider. You don't even have to select the arrows. The game automatically selects the arrows that are first in line. They poisoned me. So because of the way healing works, you either have to take it slower or, you know, be prepared for a lot more enemies. Bread and vegetable satiety. And you get a lot of money, 61 bronze. And super items like the iron. Those are very hard to find and you can create 1 iron ingot with 2 of these. So like I said, you can basically get the iron you need to level up your blacksmithing from just doing the easy dungeons. Which is crazy because no other game has this mechanic where items are so well balanced that you can choose the way you advance. Imagine if you're playing with someone else. I mean, it's even fun alone, but with someone else it will be... Well, I guess if you're playing with someone else, it will be hard for you to decide what to do because... Because at some point you just have to both be online to do the stuff you need and probably people will get upset at that and you'll maybe complain about, you know, if your friend is not online to give you materials, you'll basically be stuck. So I guess people in this game will always be the type of self-sufficient player. And the game also gave me the Iron Mace for free for completing a quest, which is also interesting because you can skip the quest and basically create your own type of progression, but the game just gives you all of the items you need. So you don't even have to worry about that. Well, if you follow the quest lines, that is. Why do I have the foxes with me? Well, because I'm trying to tame them to get my taming skills up. Sometimes the dungeons are either very long or very short. I guess I like the dungeon generation because, man, to do judge. If you do it with a group, it will be harder for you to decide who gets the loot. I guess I should do dungeons with other people as well because it's very helpful to simply get the items you need to leapfrog some progression and then come back to it when you can. It also has a pretty good system. As you can see, it will show me my equipped items, which sometimes you'll have problems figuring out in other games, but yeah, I guess I like everything about the game. Of course there'll be some problems, and I really dislike the fact... No space to equip. I guess you can throw away some items, it's not a problem. I really dislike the fact that developers put so many DLCs that actually influence the way you play the game. Because if you select the basic option for the game, or the basic game without any of the very overpowered DLC, you'll find that it's a lot harder to advance, so I don't know. I hope they go back on that decision and stop creating those DLCs, and the DLCs they have created already will be nerfed a bit. Because you do get an advantage for buying the higher price versions of the game, and the DLCs are kind of too much in some cases. Yeah, but I think I've spoken about this in my review and some other things, so yeah. I'll not mention them anymore, even though it can be annoying sometimes. Okay, this was not such a long dungeon, but as you can see, we have reached the bone zone, the bone hall. And we're actually pretty lucky because there were no more enemies here. Well, I mean no more carpentry walls. Fox gained 6 experience. We can sell the rat tails. I have to be careful, even though this guy is not very hard to kill. Actually, to be honest, this guy is easier to kill than some of the other enemies. But sometimes you'll miss a rat or something, and then you'll have to play harder. And for example, you can use the sword to inflict bleeding, and you can use the bow to inflict poison, and you know, there's a lot of synergy in the game, so you can do some things, some areas even earlier than you think. Can I get into the light to fight you? No, okay. And your pet, as you can see, can help a lot, so if you choose to invest into, you know, leveling up the pet and getting better pets and so on, it will pay off in the long run immensely. And just a fire arrow, not much over there. Usually there will be a chest over here. You can only open the chest if you kill all of the enemies from the dungeon, so you cannot... Yes, you cannot just rush the dungeon to get to the chest. No, it doesn't work like that. The developers have thought of everything almost. And again, iron ore. So many good things you can get from a dungeon. Plus free silver, which is huge at this point of the game for me. I guess I don't need that. What is this poison bomb? And as you can see, they're giving you a lot of ingredients for food. So the game is nudging and kind of hinting towards you to build more stuff and raise your cooking, raise your other skills. It actively encourages you to do something about your other skills, which will help you massively improve your other skills as well. I guess before we do the church, we should go back to base. Actually, we're near the base. And also there are FPS problems, the game is not really well optimized in a way, so I hope they fix that as well. This is not raw iron ore, this is iron ore. I'll not get into the whole process again. You have multiple types of iron ore that can be processed. And that's not even half of the story, but I'll not get into that. It's just such a cool system that you can get kind of quality of basic materials, if you understand what I'm saying. I also kind of split up my production, so as you can see, bronze is over there, lime is over here, tin. Also started producing a lot of leather, because leather is used in so many things, especially creating backpacks and other high quality stuff. I guess I can throw that away. You also need the raw leather to create the basket, so that's why I'm keeping the raw leather over there. And also, you will use a lot of the things you find in the game sooner or later, so don't throw much away. Also, the healing potions are not just healing potions, they're actually an item for you to progress in the game. They're a progression item, so again, they just have a very clear vision of what they want to do with the game. I'll repair my tools later on. I go into the city to sell some stuff as well. Oh, not here. Poison bomb. Well, I guess I should put this over here. I just like the sound of it. So as you can see, if you're wondering why do you have so many items, well, some of the items are meant to help solo players as well. If you cannot do, let's say, a certain type of dungeon, maybe you can just, use some other arrows, use some other healing items. I guess those guys will be doing the casual or maybe the normal difficulty as well. But if you go with other players, it's hard to split the loot because, let's say you get better loot, right? Well, who'll get the iron? I don't know. Who'll get the better quality items? And that's where the problem is. Unless you're playing with very good friends that will not, cheat on your little adventure, you might as well do it alone. It's okay. It will take longer, but again, you need a character that is good at everything in order to kind of fully progress in the game. This is not like V Rising where you just gather more and more and more and then pretend everything is okay. No, here quality will always be better than quantity. But yeah, you kind of need more quantity to get a quality as well. Now this dungeon will be very easy, and you also get the bones from here. I thought I put that in my base, doesn't matter. Sorry for the slow movement speed, but like I said, I wanted a lot more inventory capacity. With the bones you can make... Okay, let me show you. Such a great system, such a great mechanic. With the bones you can make bone flour fertilizer with lime, water, withered crops and other things. And alchemy is bone flour, so this is your main way of leveling alchemy in the beginning. You can skip the bone flour and some other things as well, but again, you'll just be making the game harder for yourself. But you can totally skip the... okay, too weak. Aha, pile of bones, I almost missed it. As you can see, the difficulty of the dungeon is not very well explained. I wish they would have a level system to the dungeon as well, because playing on the easy difficulty for the random dungeons is a lot harder than playing on the easy for this one. I can one hit them. Okay, you need to be very well... You need to have a good sense of direction in this dungeon, because if you don't kill all of the enemies, you'll have to backtrack. And also have a... It's kind of like a hidden item game. Look at this. If you identify it, you'll get a lot of good stuff. Or a viper. And which is good skinning experience. I'm not sure what you can do with the chitin. Let me check if it shows over here. No. And then later on you can also, you will have to work with the jewels. Because look at how... This is basically the worst... The most basic jewelry. And it gives you kind of a small bonus that if you have, let's say, 2 of them that give you 5% attack speed, it can be huge. The game also cheats a little bit because if you look at your weapons, you don't have a lot of options in the beginning. For example, if you want to make a bronze sword, it's going to be 22 DPS at its best, 100%, if you have the stats for it. Okay, I think I can make 150% ones, which will be 24 DPS, which is weaker, more or less, or the same than the Iron Mans the game gives you. So yeah, they did a great job at kind of hinting and nudging the player towards the right decisions. As you can see, I'm not even losing HP over here, but I'm still gaining very valuable materials. Now, there is a catch. The church dungeon can only be done once every 10 minutes. So, when you do the dungeon, you have to wait 10 minutes for the dungeon to close, and then you can enter it again. Brilliant system. You cannot overfarm the church dungeon. The game doesn't allow you to do that. But you can farm the mysterious dungeon one after the other. You exit the dungeon and there's no cooldown. So I guess the developers made everything very good and interactable and fun as well, I don't know. We're moving a little slower, but that's okay. One thing I don't like, I'm not sure how to get in melee range. I should just click until I'm in melee range. And because I switched to heavy armor, as you can see, the absorption basically denies or makes any type of damage against me useless from the skeletons. Okay, maybe this time we'll succeed. Yeah, bone flower. Which, as you saw, it was very hard to make the bone flower. I mean, not very hard, but you needed a lot of resources, and if you get it for free, it's much better. Oh, this will be interesting. So you can get even swords, so... Swords are kind of better because they allow you to parry hits, and they'll actually make you more tankier. It's so fun. So if you get a better sword, you can use it, but like I said, the basic Iron Mace has got you covered. Well, I guess he was afraid of me. Nice, so getting the poisonous arrows can be a major game changer. So if you do this dungeon and you get the poison arrows, you can use them in the other dungeon, which is again huge. Because it allows you to kill enemies that are much weak, much stronger than you. I think I can almost kill the bear in the church. By the way, this is the graveyard dungeon. We have also the church dungeon. I'm getting... Well, I guess you have to be patient. It will be a while until you go to the Plague Island. And that will be an adventure on its own. Well, I guess if I do everything on my own, it will be easier in certain regards and harder in other ways. Well, I guess I should activate my shield. As you can see, sometimes the enemies don't attack you even if they're near each other. And just a great system. Let's identify all of this for experience, and it will be trash items. Nothing is worth selling except for the weapons. They're also rare. Since these skeletons are kind of low quality mobs, you'll not get high quality gear from them. We'll keep this one to sell. Not even look at the gear because I know it's weaker than what I have. Which is great because it allows you to kind of skip a step. I just like one-shotting the skeletons, poor skeletons. So doing this dungeon gives me access to rare materials, gives me access to poison arrows, gives me access to better agriculture or easier agriculture, because without the fertilizer and other stuff, yeah, agriculture can be a little harder to level up. It also gives me access to potentially better items, well, if I needed them. I think I'm close to doing the normal one, but I just want to level up all of my other skills as well. You can also get very strong by just leveling up your skills. What do you mean by that? Well, for example, if I increase my heavy armor, let's say to level 20, I'll get another skill, hold the line, which is very good. And if I level up my shields to 25, flexible arm, block from the rear. And then the weapons, it's a bit of a trick question over here, because for example the throwing weapons will slow down the enemy and then you can make them bleed with the bow. This is a passive ability, by the way, 10% chance. Make them bleed and use poison arrows to make them poisoned as well, and then idle stance accelerates the rate of fire. So you can basically become kind of a jack of all trades, but not really a jack of all trades. You just get more utility. If I level up my bows, my heavy armor and my bow and maybe some of the throwing weapons, yeah, we'll be unstoppable. It's one of those games that you can speak hours and hours about and make plans before you start playing. And I miss games like this. I miss games where you have to plan more or less, where you can play it alone even though it's a multiplayer game in essence. And where even the smallest items has some kind of quality to it. I mean, yeah, the armor is not useful to me anymore, but I can get the identifying experience from the items. So again, even if I don't need the items, I can still make some use out of them. Sadly, this will not grow my weapon experience because the enemies are too easy to kill. So you kind of hit a block over here. The game tells you, hey, you're not gaining experience from fighting these enemies because they're much lower than you are. Much lower level. So in order to gain armor experience, I think I need to fight enemies that are higher than my current level of armor. So for example, to get heavy armor, I need to fight enemies that are at least level 13. And that's not so hard to find. Some of the enemies are super high level. And I guess the problem is you do hit a little bottleneck over here, because now I don't know what to do next. And that's the only problem. I have too many things to do. Which is a great problem to have. Ah yes, as you can see, sometimes it's super well hidden. So yeah, you just have so much, I don't know, the mechanics are great. I wish I had known about the game before, and I really wish the developers would stop releasing DLC that makes you stronger in game. Of course, if you use that DLC, you have a stronger head start, but also this guy is a little stronger than the mysterious dungeon boss. But the loot is more or less the same. Skeleton item. Imagine if this guy was level 20. Oh no. That would have been a totally different story. Yeah, I'll probably do some more grinding and I'll do the church level next. Since that's also in my main quest. Sometimes the reward from this dungeon is better than the mysterious one, but as you can see, the rewards overall are more or less the same if you kind of have a middle line around it. I can throw away that. I guess I can take that one. Medium raw hides. Wither plants again. You have to know very well what each of the item does. I mean, more or less, you can kind of skip some of it. Actually, I can throw away this one. So as you can see, you can either hunt for foxes or other animals outside, or you can just, get like with the drop. And that's what I like about the game. It really allows you to do whatever you want to increase your power. I guess you can do a little bit of grinding over here as well. As to finish the video, as you can see, I'm getting experience from that. Well, I don't want to throw away my pets. I mean, not my pets, my working pets, my training pets. This is a level 20 skeleton. Oh, you parry? I think the enemies have more or less the same skills as you. So attack speed is very important because you don't want to attack at the same time as the enemy, otherwise you'll just hit a lot of parries. Quality is 125. Mines were 88, so throw them away. I also killed a crow, but they only drop feathers as far as I know. And the boars, I think, are the biggest challenge for solo players right now. Not exactly the biggest, but kind of like the most annoying. As you can see, they deal a lot of damage and they can infect you for even more. Why did you give a good amount of experience? 10 minutes until the dungeon resets. What other dungeon is that one? Let me check. Arrows are great, so you can basically burn them, bleed them, poison them. Oh, so there's another dungeon over here. I haven't done this one. Oh, that's the necromancer. He's a level 25 big guy. Well, I guess we can try to kill him, more or less. Since I saw we don't die suddenly. I guess if he does too much damage to us, we'll just run away. I don't have any healing potions. Okay, so I'll play for a little longer just to try and do this boss. Probably I'll have to summon my pet as well. So, let's check out the loot. So the loot will probably make me a few silver coins. I have the bone meal, which will help with my agriculture and my alchemy. Also have some hides that will help me in other situations. More iron ore. Sadly, they don't show you everything you can do with the iron ore over here. You can get from that as well. So you need to turn this into crucible, but you need to go and look at the recipe inside the crucible. You don't see what you need for it, sadly. Oh, when did I heal? Nope. No, I died. Yeah, this is definitely a party type of deal. I'm not sure what that is. Probably another dungeon. So, bosses are still bosses. I guess you can use this as a means of fast travel, but you do lose some durability from your gear, which means you lose a bit of money. I don't know. It's okay. It's fast travel. Think of it as fast travel. Oh, I have so much inventory management to do. Well, I guess I'll do it now. Anything else I wanted to say about the game right now? Not really. I have to go into the city. I'll have to do so much management, but it all makes sense. If you are having second thoughts about the game, I recommend you try it. Even if you don't like the PvP experience, even if you are playing alone, I think it's a really unique game, and the way you progress in it kind of reminds me of... I I don't know, the older types of games where you actually had to have a lot of knowledge about the game itself to progress, like in RuneScape. It's very easy to play, but very hard to master. Old RuneScape, not the new RuneScape. I didn't have enough space to switch my weapons again. Sometimes you need to remember details like this. Bye.